Hello, viewer. Well, today it's a sunny day in sunny southern Scotland, although it's supposed to be getting a bit cold next week, or is it tomorrow? I don't know. Anyway, I'd like to today discuss something which, if only I'd come to this realisation a lot earlier, I would have probably made my exit from the witnesses an awful lot sooner than later. Now, this comes down to this singular belief which permeates the witnesses, that they believe they're a divinely inspired organisation, that God theocratically directs this organisation through His Son Jesus Christ the King, then through the governing body and the rest of the earth. And in other words, everything that happens with the witnesses is through the influence and guidance of the only true God. It is a massive thing to actually claim that, but this is what they believe. So of course, the proof of that is what they see is all the blessings they get. But at the end of the day, you can't have one without the other. So to disprove that, there must be things to show that this clearly God can't be involved in this process. Now, within Jehovah's Witnesses, you have these people within the governing body who state that they have been anointed or appointed by God's Holy Spirit to dispense all this food, spiritual food at the proper time, and will ascend to heaven. And of course, what they do as they go down to grassroots, most people don't get to meet these guys, but the closest they get is the elders in the congregation and the ministerial servants. Now, these people, according to, again, the witnesses, that every appointment within the congregation is made not by man, every appointment in the congregation is made by God's Holy Spirit. And therefore, you can see why, once elders become made-up elders, that a lot of them behave like they're God, because they seem to think that their own personal opinions, that God is going to use this person to then direct the congregation on what they should really be doing when it comes to the likes of watching TV, what films to watch, what music to like, and what the way to dress, the whole thing. So we come down to this fact. I'm going to give 4 examples of appointments in congregations that I'm aware of where this thought, this belief, this truth that God has inspired this appointment, the elders to make this appointment, can really be brought into question. And therefore, if you can bring into question the appointing of elders and servants, well, then that must, by extension, go all the way up to the people who now lead this organisation and say, well, if God got these bits wrong, maybe He got those things wrong as well. So we'll crack on. I've got 4 examples and I'll whiz through them very, very quickly. And the funny thing is, my 4 examples I'm going to give probably are nothing compared to examples that maybe other people are aware of as well. So, example number 1. When I was in Ellesmere-Port, the congregation split into 2. Basically, all the best brothers went to the other congregation. So we were left in our congregation with a lot of older ones who weren't very inspiring and whatever. There was a couple not too bad, but mostly all the best ones went to the other hall. So, ripe for the introduction of Peter Skerritt. The Peter Skerritt came from Runcorn congregation, and he wasn't an elder there. He was just your bog standard servant who wanted to become an elder. He was working in Ellesmere-Port, and all of a sudden he moved into our territory. And I was still friends with Timothy and Timothy's father, who was an elder in Runcorn, and I was playing guitar with him one day, and I just went, we've had a bloke and his family, his wife and his daughter, come to our congregation. And they said, yes, Peter Skerritt, what do you think? Well, I don't really know the guy, knows, come in. And, I had a sense that maybe his leaving wasn't missed by the people in Runcorn. So, Peter appears in our congregation, and within a very short space of time, because I do think you come to the congregation, you're not appointed, and you have to wait for the next circuit overseer's visit to, and then he very quickly, he was fast-tracked to become an elder. It was spectacular, and he then got made up to be the field service overseer. And obviously, within the arrangement, you obviously want the elders that to use their best strengths in whatever role that's given in the congregation. So he was given the field service overseer. So obviously he was pretty good, pretty good, as they would say in Cooper enthusiasm. He was pretty good on the doors. So I remember this particular time when it came my turn to actually work with Peter Skerritt. I remember it was one cold midweek night. I was lying in my bath and it was lovely and warm, and it was freezing that night. It had snowed the last few days and it remained below freezing, so the snow had turned to ice, and it was just a horrible day, and I was going to have to walk to the group before we go in the door, so the whole process was going to be, and I'm lying in my bath thinking, do I really want to do this? And I thought, well, I have to, because I was auxiliary pioneering, I needed the hours. So I went along to the group. There's a good group of us there, about 10 of us. Peter Skerritt led the group, and therefore we shunted on to the first door. So here is my chance to be with our new elder, who's obviously very good on the work because he's the field service bloke. So this is how the door went. Chap, doors open. Peter, just come along with your magazines. No? Okay, fine. And I thought, no, something's gone wrong here, because it wasn't magazine night, and we weren't doing a book, it was just engage people in conversation to say, do you want to live in a paradise on earth, but unfortunately all your relatives are going to be rotting dead around you and in front of you. And it was that sort of night, and that was the opening gambit. So next door, my door, then it came back to Peter's doors. Chap, doors open. Just come along with your magazines. No? Okay then. I was astounded. I thought, is this like the roll that you get with the soup? And he's he's building this one up. He started off with the roll, then we're going on to the soup, and we'll get to the meal soonish. But no, he didn't. He stayed with the roll. He rolled with the roll, and in of every single door was the same. The thing about it is, which was extraordinary, is because normally when you're trying to get people to read the magazines, you'd actually show them an article in the magazine that you thought they might like, because you'd actually done a little bit of prep. Yeah, if there's a woman comes to the door, that one. If there's a man, it's that one. You know, that sort of thing. An older person, younger person. You know, just know the content of the magazine you're trying to flog. Not this guy, literally that was it. And it was whatever. So I actually remember he came off the door and shouted to somebody, has anybody got any Bible studies yet? I'm thinking, well, I know somebody's not going to get one. It's you, with that sort of banter. So massively disappointed. Anyway, in a very short space of time, Peter disappeared. He disappeared, and his wife and his daughter still came to the meetings. What happened was, in Ellesmere Port, there was a bit of concern about redundancy, and he decided to go and work in Germany, which was a little bit odd, to be honest with you, at the time. But there you go, especially when it was the time was drawing to the end and we weren't to really seek out materialistic gains, whatever. And he was off to Germany to work, leaving his daughter and his wife behind, who still came to meetings on their own. Then he all of a sudden appeared after maybe 3 months. In 3 months he appeared at the Kingdom Hall, and he just went on to the meeting. He said, I just want to give you a little experience, brother. And I thought, well, this is going to be phenomenal. This is going to be something like I'm attending a local congregation. And I have my English version of the Watchtower, and I study along with the brothers as they're doing it in German, and I've tried a few answers in German myself, and it's wonderful when you with the brothers, although they're speaking a different language, that I'm singing along the same songs in English and they're singing them in German, and I can follow scriptures because I've got to understand, in that sort of thing. I thought it'll be something like this, a wonderful experience. Nothing of the sort. No, nothing of the sort. Basically, he'd spent the 3 months over in Germany not going to one meeting. His one experience was that apparently the landlady he was in saw him reading the magazines, or she had the magazines, she went wunderbar, and she had maybe the German copy of the same magazine. In other words, he hadn't been to one meeting, and I thought that was quite extraordinary, because when you go on holiday sometimes, you'll still like to go to experience what it's like to be in a different country doing the same meeting, but not him. And then he went back to Germany, and we never saw him again. We never saw Peter Skerritt again. And then his wife dropped off, his daughter, wife and daughter stopped coming, he got removed, and shortly afterwards he had a heart attack and died. And well, that was him. And of course, everybody, once he fell away, well, before the death, obviously, once he fell away, people are saying, well, you can really tell somebody's spirituality by how good their field service was. So, I suppose so. But anyway, it was pretty bad. But the thought was, when I went back to Timothy and Timothy's dad, they said, well, that was the reason why we never made him up to be an elder in Runcorn, is because all it was for him was to achieve being an elder. And I thought, well, hold on a second. If the Holy Spirit makes the appointment, how come it influenced the elders in Runcorn to say, no, this guy is not elder material because this is probably going to happen, but didn't influence the elders in Ellesmere Port who did make him an elder, and that happened? Surely, yeah. Anyway, example one. Example number two, Eddie Eichelshine. Eddie Eichelshine was a brother in the Wallasey congregation that I knew. Within Wallasey, there's a good core group of maybe 7 young men between 18 and 20. But for some reason, every CO visit after CO visit, none of these young men got made up. They like wanted to wait till they were married, whatever. For some reason, the elders felt there was enough servants for elders in the hall, which of course it should be a case that every brother in the hall should aspire to be a servant or an elder. And hopefully the whole congregation is full of elders and servants. But Wallasey seemed to look down on these young men for some reason and never ever appointed them up. And eventually, because I was from Ellesmere Port, Eddie started coming to Ellesmere Port congregation, and then he moved in permanently, and within a short space of time, because we needed to replace him for Peter Skerritt, in a short space of time, Eddie became a servant. So and it wasn't though when he was in Wallasey, he had a coke habit he was trying to, get rid of. That's why he wasn't appointed, or he used to go on the piss every Friday night. It was the same bloke, the same Eddie. So I said to our group overseer, if that's what they're called, and said, Eddie's been appointed as a servant in Ellesmere Port. He wasn't in Wallasey. So if the Holy Spirit is making these appointments, would it be the case that the elders in Wallasey somehow were refusing the guidance of the Holy Spirit? This is what I'm thinking here. And he said, maybe you're right. And I got left at that and I should have actually just followed that up a bit, saying, there's something not right here. But it didn't. So anyway, fast forward, I'm now up in Glasgow. I'm in Rutherglen congregation, and we've gone through all the misdemeanours with the music and what happened there. It's on another video. And I'm now married. I'm not in a band, so whatever. Circuit overseer visit after circuit overseer, not back, and people I knew made up to be a servant. Now I'm doing exactly the same as them. I'm attending this. I'm doing the talks. I'm doing the sound. I'm going to every single field service meeting, even Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and sometimes a Sunday night as well. Doing what you should be doing if you're a young man stretching out to being a servant. So it passed me by, and people used to say, it's a shame you're not getting made up. Oh, you're so good when you give your talks. Oh, what a shame. So I never got made up, and I just thought, well, that's the case, And then finally, I was coming up to circuit overseers visits, and our presiding overseer, Stan Bailey, came up to me and got me in the wee room at the back, not for a telling off for a change, and said to me, Terry, we're going to be putting your name forward to be a servant. And I thought, about time to, hurrah, this should have happened maybe 2 years ago, but never mind. And he said, we just want to ask one thing. Is there anything that you can think of that would disqualify you from this position? And I was taken aback by him asking me that, because I thought, well, hold on a second, if it's the Holy Spirit that makes the appointment, surely the Holy Spirit would somehow influence the elders who are making that decision when they go through the list of brothers, no, maybe 6 months given on the year, not on your life, that somehow it influenced the brothers to know whether I had some secret dark, whatever, which would disqualify me from being servants. That on a Tuesday night I regularly got dressed in my wife's clothes, bra and panties. It's just something like that. Or really had I used to have to take a line of coke, snort coke every time I gave a talk. But for some reason they were wanting me to tell them. I was thinking, hold on a second, surely this Holy Spirit should not be telling you and making it obvious to you that there is a problem or there isn't a problem. It shouldn't be for me to tell you. You should already be inspired enough to make your own decision. So I was a little bit flat after, well, I got a point obviously, but I was a little bit flat beforehand because I was thinking, well, actually, maybe the Holy Spirit is playing no part in this appointment at all. Anyway, that's case number 3. Case number 4, which is the biggest one of all, was, I'm not going to mention this brother's name because it's a little bit embarrassing, but he was, let's say, he was a brother in one of the congregations in East Kilbride. He came to our wedding. His wife was, I think he was seeing her when she was 15, and I think he got married to her when she was 17. She was very, very young anyway. It was a little bit odd. And he liked to brag about what a wild character he was before he settled down, like drinking, and he liked his drink and girls he'd been with. And he even thought it was so funny that he actually had a fight on his own wedding because he thought that his wife's cousin was dancing too intimate with his wife on, Anyway, he had a fight with this guy. So it was an all-round bit of a loose cannon, I think the phrase would be. Needless to say, he was in the congregation in Calderwood in East Kilbride, which was looking for more dynamic brothers because a lot of them had gone to the other 2 congregations in East Kilbride. And so that the moment was right for somebody like him to be used because there wasn't anybody else. So he got appointed to be a servant. Okay, thank God, he's only a servant. He can't create much damage in this position. So we went up to see him and we stayed over, and he was the same guy really, liked his drink, bragging about his conquest, There's just, in other words, not elder material whatsoever. It's a miracle he's a servant. So I'm at a convention, District 1 I think it was, and I'm with some friends who don't know, we all know different people, and he comes up to me, bounds up to me and says, Terry, have you heard the news? I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to be dad. He's going to be a father. He says, I've been made an elder. And I burst out laughing. And I looked in his face and burst out laughing. I thought it was hilarious. And then he bounded away like Tigger does in the Disney films. He bounced away on obviously to the next person. And I turned around the people I was with who didn't know who this guy was from Mud. And I just said, what a character he is. What a laugh. Well, I wasn't laughing later on in the evening when somebody said to me, oh, have you heard the news that so-and-so has been made an elder? And I was absolutely astounded. And the rumour is, and I'm pretty sure this is true, or it's alleged, but I'm pretty sure it's true, that his brother, who was in one of the other congregations, I think he had 2 brothers, but his brother was in another one of the congregations who was an elder, actually wanted to step down in protest at this guy being made up, his brother, because he knew he was an absolute wild cannon, ready to go off spectacularly at any point. Right, needless to say is, we went to go and stay at theirs, me and my wife, after got made up an elder, and he was all elder this and elder books. He was relishing the elder duties he got, and he was talking about trying to help 2 young girls in the congregation having problems with the family, and offered them to come and stay with him and his wife. Now, I don't want to go into the detail of what actually happened, but needless to say is, he got placed on the sex offenders list and then spent some time in prison because of apparently having sex with one of these girls who was under 16 or an alleged rape. I don't know what happened, but then, and needless to say, he got found guilty and spent some time. And to be honest with you, it probably didn't come as a surprise to a lot of people that this unfortunately happened. And we had moved into his congregation when he got released. We were actually there his first meeting, he got out. And I was there the day he did his first post-prison sentence answer in the hall. And it's not funny, I shouldn't laugh really, but at that time I was leaving the meetings anyway because I thought it was a complete lot of nonsense, and yet there you go. Example number 4 was really the most telling one. So we have example number 1 where an elder had been knocked back in one congregation, but the Holy Spirit decided to appoint him another congregation, and he literally lasted 5 minutes and he was out. Appointment number 2 is where the Holy Spirit is telling a group of elders not to appoint a guy as a servant. He moves just, like 20 miles down the road, and all of a sudden the Holy Spirit is telling him, yes, appoint him as a servant. Example number 3, myself, where the Holy Spirit is not telling the elders whether I should be appointed or not, but asking me if there's anything that disqualifies me from doing this. And appointment number 4, that when the elders actually sat that night and went through the names of people to be made up an elder, that the Holy Spirit wasn't renting the curtains in two in the congregation to say, no way on God's earth should this guy be appointed an elder, because he is a loose cannon and this is going to spectacularly explode in everybody's faces, and he's going to tarnish the good name of Jehovah's Witnesses when it's splashed across the newspaper for many months to come. So there you go. So if that doesn't tell you that really there isn't any spirit directing involved in the appointing of the people who lead the congregation, so in effect you go all the way up to the guys who actually lead the worldwide organisation and say it's the same thing. These guys all of a sudden have the goal to actually say, oh, by the way, I'm not only an elder, but I'm appointed and anointed by God's Holy Spirit, and nobody can question me on this one, and therefore promote themselves to then inflecting their personal likes and dislikes. You can see the influence in talks and magazines or whatever, because they don't like tight pants, for instance. It's the same thing. Really, this is proof enough. If you can't get the grassroots right, if you can't just get your basic servants and elders right, and the people who do the majority of the work in the congregation, if the Holy Spirit cannot go to get those appointments right, you can see why when we go all the way to the top, that those appointments are wrong as well. In other words, the Holy Spirit is not involved anywhere in this process, and it's just a bunch of men who are just making this up as they go along. And the sooner that people who are in the organisation realise this fundamental fact, the sooner they're going to wake up and they'll leave. And that's it. That's the story. And we'll be heading on to another one sometime soon. Bye.